Hey everybody, this is Burt from SoftTubes and I'm here with another film review, and today I'm reviewing Toy Story 4. I was gonna do 2, but that's wrong. So, I doubt many people need a refresher on what the Toy Story franchise is, since I'm pretty sure most of you have probably grown up on the films in some way or another, whether it was from the beginning as a child or simply someone showing the children to their kid, like giving, to give a child something to watch, essentially, so they would shut up and leave you alone. And if you were someone that grew up on Toy Story, then you were going to be really, really happy with Toy Story 4, which is the latest and quite likely the final film. So, right up front, I need to say that I wasn't sure if I wanted this film to begin with. Back when they first announced it, I remember thinking, why? The original rumors about the film was that it was going to be a prequel and a romance about Woody and Bo Peep. And that was a lot of the rumor for a while, and that was even more of a I'm like, oh, that actually sounds interesting, but why? Why not instead do something different with similar ideas? And then when it was like, no, it's Toy Story 4, I was like, oh, okay, but Toy Story 3 kind of wrapped everything up really nicely. It was like a really good end to that franchise, and it left it on a really good note that kind of was a nice, end point. That had a little bit of a cycle to it, which was really, really nice. I thought that the new film would be nothing more than a cash grab, to be honest. That at best would leech off of the franchise rather than adding anything to it. And I'm really happy that I was completely wrong. I should have seen it coming that I was going to be wrong, but I didn't because things like cars exist. But, yeah, I was wrong. I have to admit, I was completely wrong in this one. Not only does Toy Story 4 add to the overall franchise, it actually adds on a somehow even more satisfying ending than what we got with Toy Story 3. At least for me. For me, this was a perfect ending. It pulls together so many various threads that a lot of them were sort of disappeared at points throughout the franchise. Pulls them all together, and then not only ties all that up nicely, gives a conclusion for the characters and the story, but it comes to a thematic conclusion, which is a very difficult thing to do, especially with something that probably was not planned out this way. It's very unlikely they planned these films out more than each individual film, and a lot of other film studios drop the ball on this kind of stuff real hard, and they managed to get something that thematically is all one coherent story. And Toy Story 4 hits emotional and thematic beats that elevate things while still having some connection with both the older and the younger audiences. And this is a really tricky line to walk for a film, especially a children's film, which typically has to kind of walk this a bit when it's especially something like this. I think Incredibles 2 kind of dropped it a little bit. It wasn't quite as satisfying for either side as it should have been. But here, they found a way that even if the younger audiences couldn't fully understand the themes and ideas that are going on, they could at least understand enough that they could follow along and not feel left out by anything. They could still understand the basics of everything going on to have an understanding of at least everything going through. Even if they didn't fully understand all the themes that the movie was trying to talk to about growing old and becoming kind of useless and stuff with age and losing purpose, essentially. Maybe they couldn't understand that, but they could understand Woody feeling a bit sad. So, which was really a patronizing way to say it, but they could understand why Woody feels left out. And that's a really, really difficult thing to do, and they do it really, really well here. The comedy in this film is on point as well. Toy Story 4 is probably the funniest film I have seen in a fairly long while. At least a lot of recent films. Ignoring older films that I finally get around to seeing, it is probably the funniest one I've seen in a while. And I found myself laughing throughout this film out loud, which I don't often do. Especially around a crowd, I tend to like, oh, that was funny, and kind of hold it in. But here I was actually laughing out loud. It's such a mix of humor in this film. It's things from physical to situational to character to dialogue. Like, it's such a mixed bag that it means everyone could probably find a lot of stuff that they find funny. You should be able to find something in this that you will find lands for you, even if some of the jokes don't, because you're not particularly into physical comedy or whatever it is. So, new characters, Ducky and Bunny, played by Key and Peele, who I love, so I'm a little bit biased, are absolutely hilarious in the way that they not only approach the world, but also in the ways they react with the other characters and the way they approach the world. They have this interesting dynamic with both each other and all these other characters. And there's these great moments with those characters where they come up with a plan, and it goes to like a sidebar thing, and it'll show that plan in action. And it's hilarious. There's one moment that's this nice, drawn-out joke that is so perfect. I lost my crap doing it, like, while it was happening. It's so good. I can't get over how funny this film was. And especially, I was worried going to see this film. I was having a bit of a down day. And this is the problem. If you go see a bad movie when you're having a good day, you can often think the movie's better than it may have been for yourself. And if you go see a good movie on a bad day, you can often come out with a lower opinion. So I was having a bit of a down day where I wasn't really feeling anything, and I was worried going in that I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to see this like again immediately on a different day when I'm feeling better, because I don't know if I'm going to react to any of the emotions. And this film pulled me out of it really hard, and that was actually really good. This film is also really good for me in that it basically, it made me feel good with the comedy. And not on the fact of how I was feeling kind of crappy that day, but it reminded me in a way of how comedy can be great humor, that without trying to be edgy or try to push towards something offensive or rely too much on like crass humor or things like that. Like, that's all of the stuff that seems to be the big comedies now. Toy Story 4 shows that for even an older audience, you can be really, really funny without doing those things. And I think that's something a lot of people tend to forget. Like, good humor just has to be written well. And in Toy Story 4, it's written so well that so many jokes land that I don't think other films could have done as well. I think a lot of other films would have tried, but they would have fallen for the cheaper joke or the less well thought out. Like, it would have just been like, eh. And it's funny, but not as funny, or it doesn't actually, like, there's a lot of humor that still tells a lot in this film. The entirety of Toy Story 4 is written well, and with the comedy, there's a thing here where this is a movie that doesn't talk down to its audience at all. It doesn't try to reiterate things you're saying. It allows both the what's being said to tell a story, and also what's being shown to tell a story, and then also what's being like the music and that sort of sound to also help tell the story. Whoops, sorry about that. Hit the mic. It's not going to show you something happen and then have a character go like, oh, that thing is happening. It's not going to do that, and it's also not going to treat you like an idiot. It's going to go, yeah, you can follow along, because it understands that it's done its job well enough to allow you to follow along. Even a child can go like who may have trouble following certain films, they can go like, yeah, I know what's happening. And the film knows that they should know what's happening. They understand the audience they're writing for, and that's a broad audience in this case in terms of age. Every piece of dialogue it feels natural and concise. It doesn't over-explain things. It doesn't go too far. It just feels right. Every scene is tight, and it never feels like there are scenes that don't need to be there. I don't remember going like, I don't know why we're on this scene. Like, There are a couple of scenes that are probably played more for laughs, but they feel right in how they're sort of slotted in with everything else. It's possible that there are a few slower scenes and things like that, but honestly, I never noticed them because I was so hooked in with everything else, and it was entertaining me that any slowness I was able to easily get past because I was still being entertained. It wasn't a slowness that you start going like, oh god, how much longer we got. It was still entertaining when it slows the pace a bit. It was a perfect slow of the pace. Or maybe not perfect, but it was a damn good slow of the pace. I also have to talk about the animation, which obviously this is a Pixar film. They're pretty well known for their animation being pretty good, as well as the story and emotional and all that. But there's something that was really special here for me. Perhaps it's partly because my mind kept wandering to the first Toy Story and memories of it. And so I was making a lot of comparisons between the two and realizing how far the animation has come since those early days, especially with the human characters. Like in the original, they don't really show a lot of the human characters, particularly faces. I think you see Andy, and I'm pretty sure Sid is like the only other one. There might be others that I don't remember, but they're the main ones, and they look kind of funky. They don't kind of look like they could have been toys themselves. It's not great, and this was 95, so it's understandable. Now, like, the humans look so good and totally look human, even though they don't look like human, realistic. You still know, like, yeah, they're different to the toys and things like that. There's a different clarity, and you can tell they knew how good they look because they both throw in so many humans. Like, there's human characters everywhere, constantly. Like, you see them a lot, so then you can tell that they went, we can do this well, so we're going to show that we can do it well. And I think it's amazing how far they've come and how incredible things look in this film. Particularly on display is their lighting effects, which are phenomenal. They look so good, and the film actually takes several points during it just to focus on the lighting, and a lot of it is story-based, which I really liked. It wasn't just like, look at our pretty lights. It was look at the lights and what they're telling about the story and these characters in this moment. And it looks absolutely beautiful. There's some beautiful lighting things, which, unless you're really into the visual stuff, maybe you won't get as much out of it. But if you can just take a moment in the film to actually, like, really take in what they're showing, it's really good. I could say, if you're a kid or a kid at heart, you should go see Toy Story 4. But I'm not going to say that. Well, I did, but that's, in truth, that's not right. If you just love good cinema, good movies, you need to see this film. It is so damn good. There's so much going for Toy Story 4 that I can't recommend it enough. Which means I thought about this a lot today. I was going back and forward on it. Toy Story 4 is getting my first... Like, I do not hand out 5 out of 5 stars. Because I don't... to me, that's perfect. And I don't think films make perfect. Here, I'm going to hand out a 5 out of 5. And I'm going to do it in part because I don't know what they could have done to make this better. Maybe it's not perfect, but I don't think it's humanly possible to have done a better job with this film than what they did. I'm probably still a little bit biased, and I'm coming off a big high with this film, but that's the way I feel. So it's getting 5 out of 5 stars from me, and just go see it. You need to see Toy Story 4 as soon as possible. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of Toy Story 4. Pretty sure I said 4 before. I feel like I said Toy Story 3 in there somewhere in my last little bit. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. If you really liked it, if you didn't like it, it'd be good for me to see if people that didn't like it, because clearly I liked it a lot. So I wouldn't mind seeing people that didn't like it too much. Saying why they didn't like what they didn't like about it. That would be cool. I did forget to say one thing in my review, I realized. One thing I also really liked is there was a lot of theories about what was happening, and I don't think any of them were right. They didn't go for easy twists, which I liked. Maybe one, but I think it worked really well. But anyway, guys, If you like this video, hit the like button. If you didn't like the button, hit the dislike button. And if you're new to the channel, you like reviews like this, you like trailer reactions, you like video games, you like all that stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because that will keep you up to date on everything we're doing here. Every time I see new movies, I try to do reviews. There's a few I haven't been able to do. I might do a late review of Tolkien at some point. This week is a little off for me, so I don't know if I'll have a chance, but I've still got, because I've still got other stuff I need to get out, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
Hiya, baby.
What'll save me?
I've
I've known that guy my whole life. 2 days.
Is that how we look on the inside?
There's so much love.